Good afternoon, Monica, and good morning, because it's afternoon at our end, but it's
And
very
it's
early morning at your end.
yeah.
I'm so happy to have you on board. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. We have today Monica Karam. She's going to share a very interesting story. It's her story, her own story. So I'll give you the words, Monica. You go ahead and tell us who you are, what you do, and what brought you in.
Okay, thank you, Grace. So what I do now is I'm a life coach. I'm an intuition and creativity coach. But 8 years ago, that was far removed from where I am today. 8 years ago, I moved from Dubai to Canada, Montreal, Canada, to a completely different life. I moved with my husband and 3 children to Canada. I was so used to a different lifestyle. First of all, the weather was different, very different.
Of course.
Here it's freezing. I had a family unit. And then I moved to Canada and my whole life changed. My marriage of 17 years fell apart. My identity fell apart. I was in a country I knew nobody and a different culture to the one I was used to. And as my marriage was falling apart, I had to do it on my own, because not on my own, like my ex was there, but having to get up and figure it out on my own in a country that was very different culturally to mine. I was not used to, it's different. You in Dubai, you're used to all this help, this social, the background of people around you. And here I'm in a country, everything is you do it yourself and you figure it out. And I went on this journey of discovering, to get help, to get friendships, to adapt to a country that now I call home. But it was not an easy at all, a journey of getting well, discovering my connection, my intuition, and that guided me, and just discovering who I am, because I broke down. I was on the floor in a very bad place, not knowing how to get up, because my whole identity shifted. I was
Of course.
wife, mother, and now I'm like, who?
It's not easy, Monica, especially that you are coming from an English environment to a French environment. And I guess you didn't know the language well either, right?
That's another thing. The here in Montreal, it's a French language, and not the French that we were brought up with. It's a very different dialect, accent. So the whole culture shock, even though I traveled to different countries all my life, this was different. This was it was different in every way.
You said that you were broke down. Tell us a bit more why, what happened?
So when all this happened, I didn't let my family know, because for me it was, divorce still has a stigma attached, and separation still has a stigma attached. And I was like, how can I disappoint my family? I was thinking of my family before I was thinking of myself. So I was going through all this by myself. And I couldn't get up. Every day I had to get up to look after 3 children. And I had never been used to looking after children because, we lived in Dubai, right?
Of course,
we had
yeah.
help. So I had my freedom. I would go and do whatever I had to do at work and do all the stuff. And my kids were taken care of. So here now I am like, I broke down because I'd never done this before. I'd never been independent. I had given the reins to my ex-husband because I became complacent, right? I got married. I'm like, this is your job. You deal with the finances and the stuff. You go to work and I will do my thing. I'll work and take care of the kids and not, like have help. That was the deal. So now I'm in a country where it's me looking after my children and having to get up. I couldn't get up. I didn't know who I was. Right? My identity got taken away. And now what I have to start working. I have to start doing a lot of things that I didn't know how to look after them. And the kids, because of all this, they were acting up. They didn't know what was going on, you know? So I broke down. I had health issues. I had a lump in my breast that I had to go to the doctor for. My health got really bad. And it was me breaking down on the floor, talking to God, who I wasn't that close with. Like I was okay, him and I were okay. But this was like, I don't know what to do. I need your help. And it was from then that I started listening to that voice, which I call intuition, God, whatever. And it was that voice that kept guiding me. So that voice would say, Monica, go on Facebook, check this. And I would find the support group for separation divorce. Monica, go see this. A friend had advised me about energy healing, and I'd never heard of energy healing before in my life, but I went. So it was that breakdown and listening to my intuition that led me to different things I didn't know at the time. But slowly I started to trust this voice. And it was my inner, and then I started going to church and different places, each time trying to discover. I was looking for something to help me. I didn't know what it was. It ended up being spirituality.
When you moved from Dubai to Canada, you moved as a family.
Yes.
So how long were you there before you decided, you and your ex-husband, that you want to end your marriage?
Months.
Just few months.
So it was, I'm not going to go into the details, but after we had, every couple has their issues. We had our issues, but I never expected to be a divorced mom of 3 in a country I didn't know.
It must have been very hard for you.
Very. Because I didn't want to come here initially.
Oh.
So to end up doing this on my own in a country that I wasn't really that excited about coming to, now it's a completely different life. This is my home. But at the time, I was giving up a lot.
Of course.
I was giving up a weather that I enjoy. I was giving up help. I was giving up to do what? I understood it was for the future of our children, but it was a tough already to come here and then have to do it on my own. Not easy.
But now, when you look back, don't you think that because of what have happened, this is the reason where you are now?
100%. First of all, I was feeling empty for many, many years. I didn't know why, because from the outside, I looked like I was doing well. You always have those pillars that people tick off: marry, tick; children, tick; job, tick. Okay, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't know that at the time, right? So this breakdown of mine is what broke me open. And I had nothing else to lose. And then I started to discover myself. So it's the worst thing that could have happened to me became the finding myself, what I really needed.
Very interesting.
So it was through this journey that I started searching. At the beginning, I was searching for answers to save my marriage. But I ended up discovering myself. So I started going into all kinds of things to help me heal, because I was in so much pain. It was like my heart had been torn. And my family didn't know about any of this until a year later. So I was trying to adapt to a new country, the end of my marriage, and raising 3 kids in an environment I didn't know. So I had to build friendships.
I want to ask you a question here.
Yep,
you said your family didn't know about it until 1 year later. Was it because you come from an Arabic background, and in the Arabic mentality, it's a shame for a woman to be divorced? They pity her. Oh my God, how would they think about me? Is it that the reason that stopped you from sharing what you were going on with your family?
Yes and no. No, because I didn't want them to go through the pain, because it hurt my family a lot, because they loved the person and it was painful. Because when you bring somebody into your family, you know, they become family, right?
Of course.
So it was very painful for them to see that, you know?
Okay.
So that was, I didn't want them to go through the pain.
Okay, interesting.
It was more about, it would devastate them.
So you were thinking about them and not thinking about yourself?
Always. Them, my mother-in-law, like everybody who was my extended family. So yes, there was shame. Of course, I felt like not shame. I felt like I failed.
Okay.
Okay. So I failed my family. I failed society. I failed, you know, like what are we have these boxes that we tick, right? Like a woman is good because she cooks. I don't. Okay, a woman is great because she's a great wife. X. So, you know, the boxes that our society puts on women, I failed.
Do you still feel now
not
that
at
you
all.
failed?
I'm like, this is not so. But at the time, I felt that. But that's the advantage. I came to a country that has open-mindedness, that taught me, because we're kind of sheltered in our culture. Okay.
Yes,
so I
absolutely.
came to a country that threw it in my face and showed me women's rights, how marriage should be, what is a healthy relationship, what is all this. So I saw the other side, and I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't in a healthy relationship at all. But then again, why do we marry? A lot of us marry because of what culture we, oh, he's a great guy from a great family. You know, so we don't know ourselves yet anyway, because we've never taught to do the work. Okay, so you are brought up thinking this is who you are because you're raised in a certain way that says this is who you are. Now, what happened to me is that I never fit in. I always thought that this was not right for me, but I couldn't understand it. Okay, so there was a conflict between my upbringing and who I was.
And now,
I kept
after
thinking that there is something wrong with me for years.
Okay, but now you have the answers.
Now I know who I am. My culture, there are things about it I love, and there are things about it that don't align at all with me. So that's the key, getting to know yourself. But if you're in a sheltered environment where you've never been able to learn, you're always you're gonna stay in marriage that didn't fit you, not because the person is bad. Let's be clear, the values were different.
Yes.
That person wanted a certain type of wife, which good for him. And he did end up getting married to someone who was that. But the point is, I was trying to fit into a box that wasn't me. And the conflict was that I was trying to be somebody I wasn't.
Okay.
So it was the breakdown that helped me find me. And now everything I do is from my authentic self, and I do my work and I clear my limiting beliefs and my healing. And that's what I teach people. But I live now from my authentic self. I don't need to impress anybody. And divorce is the beginning of a new chapter in your life. It's not how people say. It is a grieving period. It's like somebody died. The death of your family is a very big one, and you have to do the mourning. And it is so painful, it breaks your heart. But to stay in a place where you're unhappy for your children, biggest mistake ever. My kids are now extremely healthy and extremely wonderful human beings because we did the work. Both of us went, even though you might not like the person, you still have to remember that person was your husband at some point. And these kids don't deserve parents who are fighting against each other.
True.
So you both have to leave your differences aside and work together. And that's what I do with families. But it's vital. They need to feel safe. Just because you don't live in the same house doesn't mean you're not a family.
True. Let me ask you one more question, Monica. Have you ever blamed yourself or someone
100%.
else or society? Did you have any blame that you put it on the outcome of your marriage, which is a divorce?
Did I blame others?
Or yourself?
Definitely blamed myself. Definitely blamed my ex-husband for a while. Definitely had resentment, but definitely had anger. Yeah, I was like, this is not fair, because at the end of the day, let's be very honest, the woman will always lose out. The man moves on, right? The man has his job, has his thing, whatever, he moves on. The mother is the one who has to stay and look after the children. She's the one who sacrificed years of her life, who now hasn't been in the workforce for a while. So now I'm at home looking after 3 kids. And yes, I was angry. This wasn't what I bargained for. I didn't get married to have to go through this and have to start my life in my 40s, you know?
But remember, you're saying I was, which indicates that now those feelings are totally something different.
No, my feelings now, I've forgiven. I've done the forgiving work. I no longer have resentment. I'm good with all that happened to me, you know, because it happened for my good.
This is it.
I wouldn't be, I'm telling you, I'm a completely different person to who I used to be. I'm a very vulnerable person. Now I open up. Before I had a hard shell, you know? No, how can I say? I feel a lot more fulfilled inside. I don't do anything I don't want to do. No chance in hell. I don't, as we say in Arabic, say I don't want to do something, I will say no. If it feels right to me, I will do it. If a person doesn't feel right to me, I'm not going to friend you just for the sake of it. You know, I'm very clean in my life, who is in my immediate circle, you know, and I just do projects that feel good to me. And I know because I feel it. It's a different way of living when you're intuitively guided, when you're heart-centered.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know? And my aim is to help other women go through what I went through or whatever they're going through and understand it didn't happen. It happened for their good. These are all messages that come in for them to help them. So staying in an unhappy marriage for your children, you're teaching your kids how to go into an unhealthy marriage.
Absolutely. Monica, I am extremely happy to have you with me. And this interview is going to be on my personal Instagram. And as we discussed before, we will have another interview, but only to answer questions.
That would be exciting. Yeah, I enjoy answering questions and seeing what people have to ask me. And if I can help, I'm here.
So for whoever is listening to our interview, if you have any questions of any sort and you would like to ask Monica, please feel free to put them in comments or in private messages. And when I meet Monica next time, it will be only to answer questions. Okay, Monica, briefly, can you tell us what type of questions you will be happy to have? Because we are not talking about questions about your private life or your divorce. We're talking about different type of questions. Can you tell us more?
So any questions you have, if you're stuck in your life at any point now, and you're like, I don't know how to move forward, ask me any of those questions. Any health related issues, because each part of your body is about something emotional that you've suppressed. What other questions can you ask? Anything about divorce, if that's what, anything that you're struggling with your children, because I also run a parenting group that I work with, helping kids connect with their own inner guidance. So any questions where you are thinking, I don't know how to answer this question, ask me.
Excellent.
I'll do my best to help you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Monica.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you soon, very, very soon.
Thanks for having me.
Most welcome.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks.